What's going on, guys? It's Goose from the Wise Wealth Discord, coming back at you with another Sunday watch list. Just wanted to go over some of the levels that we're looking at. Obviously, I did miss last week with me being on vacation, but the market's still continuing to tank. There's a lot of fear out there, a lot of bearish sentiment, and realistically, when you start to mess up sentiment this deep and this far, as we're going, it's going to take a little bit more time to construct that back and to gain confidence again. The real big thing is when you discover your time horizon, you have to realize that this is weeks and months of time, and it's like even if you invested at the bottoms of the 2022, you still would be up a tremendous amount of money even in this crazy 20% move like that. Now that we're in a bear market, you have to realize that in the long term these are still great prices to buy at. Even if it does continue to go down, every 10% is a good buying opportunity. A good like rule of thumb is like when we started the correction, we were 10%, I started buying. Now we're down 20%, I'm buying more. So it's like I'm dollar cost averaging as we're going. So I want to just keep a level head as we move along in our investment journey. It never feels good to see your money going down. When you see your 401k or your portfolio going down, it doesn't feel good. But it doesn't help you to panic either and be like, oh, I'm going to sell, I'm going to get out. That's not really in your best interest, is to give people your shares. You want to accumulate as much as you can. What do we have this week, though? FOMC meeting minutes. That might move the market, give some clarity. Who knows? Core CPI. We're expecting it to come in pretty low. We'll see. Right now, forecast is 0.3. Previous was 0.2. We have unemployment claims Thursday as well, and then Friday PPI. Usually a mixed signals when it comes to CPI, PPI. Sometimes it's backwards and go back and forth. As far as the charts go, I really wanted to pull up the weekly on a lot of these charts, just simply because it shows you the longer term view. Is like we still are doing okay. Like I understand, it's very scary. Oh my gosh, goose, like what's happening? What do I do? Me, as a level-headed investor, I want to be trading, or I want to be investing for the long term. So I'm looking at levels that you oftentimes seen buyers and sellers. The SPY, 395. It's probably a good point to have a bounce, a relief rally. Some bulls may show up. Oh, that was the cues. My bad. But SPY coming into the 478, 480 level, there's a lot of confluence there coming back into that 2022 top before we had that our recent bear market. I would say that's a good spot, to dollar cost average in. I can never say the exact bottom. Who knows? We could continue to keep going. But at the same time, if you're a long-term investor, 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, I can almost guarantee you that at some point we will be getting over this all-time high. So it's about how many shares you have, not how much it's necessarily worth. If you're looking to sell it, then yes, it matters how much it's worth. But if you're looking for ownership, then it's more about how much you can buy. And as you go through, you can see where these major confluence levels are. So like on IWM, you have like the 170 level. That's probably going to be a good short-term bounce. The Qs, I was showing that. I thought it was SPY. But the 400 level, that's always going to be a good area to accumulate. And I go over these levels. It's not so much for trading, but just for the long-term idea is that you got to be, focused on the long term when it comes to some of these investments. Obviously, if you were leveraged and you bought way too much, at the top, you're hurting a lot right now. But that if your time horizon was years, you're going to be okay. Apple, you look at the weekly, it's coming into this big trend line. The 180 level would be nice. If not, you could probably get more into this 150 level for a good accumulation. And it's like, just look at some of these charts, man. Like, I understand, it's scary times, but realistically, it's really not that much that we've been dropping. Microsoft, it comes into maybe this like 330, 340 level. It'll be a beautiful dip buying opportunity. Microsoft's a great company. You could see that their earnings continue to hit. They have a great dividends. I wouldn't say great dividends, but they have a dividend, 0.88 it looks like. Nvidia, one of my favorite companies in the long term, the leader in AI and all this hardware, for chips and all that. A good buying point potentially, $70, $80 range. It looks like that's probably where we're going to open up at. We'll see if buyers step up this morning. Of course, it can keep going. I'm not going to say, oh, this is the bottom, washed out. Let's go, everyone buy. Who really knows where it's going to go? But that's not your idea as a long term investor. You're trying to pick your spots and when to accumulate. You know what I mean? There's not really a sell button necessarily when it comes to a lot of these things. And a lot of people will panic sell, oh, the market's getting so scary, it's dropping. Just remain level headed, keep up with your long term investments and continue to keep buying, companies that you like. I'm not going to objectively tell you this is the best company. That's up to you to decide, and then continue to accumulate is my rule of thumb. Tesla, you would like to see a bounce around the 180, 190 level. You can see on the weekly buyers, buyers, sellers, sellers, buyers, buyers. So it's like there's big volume node right here around the 175. Meta, you have like 384 to like 440. Somewhere within that range, I think, is a great dip buying opportunity when you come to the dollar cost averaging. If you like AMD, it's coming into a big level. If it does get anywhere below 70, 73, 85, somewhere in between there, another awesome level to look at. Google, another awesome company, always turning a profit, always innovating, owns a lot of, owns YouTube. Like I use YouTube all the time. This is where this video is going to go. So I would have no issue buying companies like that. 136, 137, somewhere in between there. If it continues to keep falling, the $100 range, then you could look to average in again. And I go over these levels not because I'm like, oh yeah, this is definite bottom, but as a long-term investor, that's what this video is mainly about, is looking further down, years down. I get it, things are scary, sentiments being messed up a little bit, but you have to keep a level headed and just continue to accumulate. You want more shares, not necessarily. You do want a higher price, of course, for what you own, but at the same time, if you don't plan on selling in the next 10 to 15 years, continue to accumulate. You're glad that these prices are coming down. You're getting a cheaper price for these great companies. But Amazon 165, yeah, Netflix, I haven't quite plotted it out, but somewhere around the 700 level would be awesome. They have a mean head and shoulders. I know some people don't necessarily like head and shoulder patterns, but you have the left shoulder, the head, the right, and that's on the weekly. So most likely you're going to go see that 200-day moving average on Netflix. The 816, 815 area would be beautiful. Anything below that, around 700, is a very strong support level. But I just wanted to go over really quick, guys. I do appreciate you guys checking in, but just continue to keep a level head. Don't get, scared out of your shares, especially now that we're down 20%. If you held this long, just buy more. If you did sell at the top, good for you. Now you can get in at a great price. But I continue to hold. I continue to accumulate. That's always going to be my strategy. And that's just kind of how I move. I'm not going to get scared out of my shares. I do get, we broke this overall trend. We've been warning, there's been a trend that's been going. We finally broke it. So now we're coming back and retesting these levels, but let's see if we hold. We're starting the week off over there. Let's maybe CPI, or there's more tariff news that comes out, and there could be a relief rally. I don't know if we're going to go straight up to all-time highs with how sentiment is, but a relief rally is definitely due. And what if it is the bottom? You know what I mean? That's why you can't predict it, but when your prices are coming down, you want to make sure that you're averaging in. It doesn't have to be every day, but pick your spots. And that's part of the, the levels that I'm showing you, these purple spots. It's like, pick your spots. You know what I mean? You don't know if that's going to be the bottom. You don't. You didn't know this was going to be the top either for, the next couple of months. So that's why you play it based off that, off your odds. And when the market starts to come down like that, I like it. I personally want cheaper stock prices because I'm looking 20, 30 years down the road. Once AI and all those things make businesses more efficient, it's going to be a beautiful thing. But I appreciate you guys checking in. It is just going to be a really quick video. I don't really have too much to say. Obviously, there's very bearish sentiment, lots of uncertainty, but keep a level head. Don't get scared out of your shares, and continue to dollar cost average would be like my main points. But let's kill it this week, guys. If we're gonna trade options, be very careful. The VIX is very high right now, so premiums are very juiced up. So we'll see how it goes. But a few things: the CPI and Fed minutes. I think we could be in for a relief rally. I truly do. But I also said that a couple weeks ago, and it was very short-lived. You get this little dead cat bounce up to the 200, and as you can see, we've gotten a huge sell-off since then. So that's where it's like it's hard to predict the bottom. But that was about the 10, 13%, down. And then now that we're 20% down, I'm looking to buy more. And it's like I'm going in patterns, 10%, 10%. If it goes down another 10%, I would be more than willing to buy more. But thank you guys for tuning in. Let's have another wonderful week. We will keep you posted. And I'm finally back from vacay, so I'll be a lot more active this week. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.